Opinions expressed on this station do not reflect the owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Wednesday, the 24th day of February, 2021. Welcome to the Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, and Lindo's. I'm Jamal Hartman, along with Carla Zul. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. If you're watching online, share the link. If you're on Facebook, start a watch party. If you're on Twitter, retweet it. If you're watching on Channel 82, call someone and let them know it's on. Just get the conversation out there to your network, and don't forget to like and engage with us. Another good one today, as Janice Outerbridge of Somersfield Academy stops by for a conversation about Montessori. The daily play is a say it, please do not sing it, Carla.
I didn't sing last week, so I will be bringing it today.
No, I thought you were about to say you didn't sing last week, so obviously you're not going to do it this week, but you can help yourself. You can help yourself. Beautiful picture in back of you, Carla. Coots Point. The water looks so calm. It really matches your personality. Such a calm person.
Yes, I am the cool one in this combo.
Yeah, weirdo. So we have a lot to get to. So last night, apparently, I was playing Don King on social media. Did you see the fight? You saw the fight?
I saw a little bit of it because of the time difference. If maybe in the UK, it was like after 2 here, so I saw a few comments, but I saw your your post. I giggled. I'm like, here's a piece of work.
Well, look, they call me grumpy sometimes. They say I don't smile enough. And I was just trying to have some fun, But for those who don't know what we're talking about, here's, I was going to share with you all, because this is just the type of drama that we need right now, the type of entertainment. So during the press conference yesterday, your premier, the Honorable David Burt, was asked a couple questions in regards to the cannabis thing. And I believe it was Owen Barnes Johnson or Johnston Barnes from the Royal Gazette that had asked the question, referring to the former opposition leader, Mark Bean, and Michael Dunkley. And David Burt kind of took mentioned Michael Dunkley. So it led to this. Can you all see that? Let's make it bigger. You don't need to see Carla and I. So the former premier, Michael Dunkley, then went on Twitter and says, Bermuda Premier, you were sounding very defensive tonight when challenged. People will play politics. Sadly, you have mastered that. If the cabinet supports the cannabis bill, then fix the weakness in it. The premier then responds saying, former Premier Dunkley, there are no weaknesses in the cannabis bill that you yourself don't support. You had 3 years to make progress and you did nothing. Playing politics is pretending to care when you don't. You don't support the bill, so yes, you are playing politics. Signed, DB. The former premier, Michael Dunkley, then responds, Premier, as a reminder, it was the One Bermuda Alliance government which implemented medical marijuana. Blah, 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 blah. Now, this is where it got very interesting to me. The premier then says, your dishonesty knows no bounds. You didn't implement medical marijuana. You added synthetic cannabinoids. I pronounced that right? Cannabinoids. Cannabinoids. Yeah, whatever. I just say CBD. You all just trying to twist me up with these words. To allow them to be prescribed. Again, you don't support the bill. Just say you oppose it and move on. With regards to CF, ATF, I don't know what that means, but check Canada's rating with a similar regime, DB. To which Mr. Dunkley, former premier, responds, Premier, I am sure you have had a busy day, so I will ignore the first comment. I'll be watching this matter closely. Have a good evening. What do you all make of this back and forth with the premier and former premier. What do you make of it?
Well, it has to be said that because some people would say, well, maybe it's a representative, but when you see DB on the back of a tweet from the premier, it means that he himself is tweeting. I think that's important to say, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for it. I love the engagement. If they want to take it to the public and box it out, why not? I think it's awesome for transparency.
Well, I don't know if anyone's listened to the House of Assembly, but that's pretty much how the House of Assembly goes a lot of times when it's not boring. Like when you don't have, people up there just talking to hear themselves. It can be that petty. I actually appreciate both sides being willing to have that conversation in the public where a lot of young people are. So young people who just have no interest in listening to the House of Assembly can see it on their own. Obviously, it wasn't going to keep going because I think when you're the premier, you don't have the strength to keep going from there. Whereas I think if the tables were turned, I think David Burt would be the one going at Michael Dunkley like that. It's fascinating to watch how it changes based on the positions people are in. But I always felt like Michael Dunkley would get the last word in that because David Burt has more to lose. Now, a few people actually text me. Interestingly enough, a few people actually text me, and they were saying to me, Michael Dunkley is actually right. Now, I'm going to be very honest with you. You all think I criticized Michael Dunkley, David Burt, PLP, OBA, but the great thing about these gentlemen, like them or not, is we can legit reach out to either of them at any time. We can. And before they got into that exchange, because I was actually on my commute home and I was listening to the press conference. And so I was actually thinking, that's an interesting comment by David Burt that he made to regarding Mark Bean. And for those who don't know what he said, he basically said, politics makes strange bedfellows, basically saying, oh, it's funny, Mark Bean and Michael Dunkley are in agreement against me and whatever, And there is a story on the front page of the RG today with an interview with Mark Bean. So I was going home to put on Twitter once I got there, again, to instigate, entertain politically. That's who I am, folks. It's sometimes we have to find humor in it because it's just so bad. And I said, I think Bermuda deserves a debate between David Burt and Mark Bean. And people are all for it. And someone actually posted this morning on my personal Twitter saying that, I think Mark Bean will wipe the floor with David Burt and And then some people not in favor of debates because it's about who's the, quick thinker, not who's the best. Let me be very clear when I say this. Unfortunately, I am so far removed from both individuals in terms of thinking that either of them are really in this for the betterment of Bermudians, right? I think there's very little difference because, in my opinion, Mark Bean should stay clear of politics at this point. You've had your time. David Burt, to me, doesn't come across as a trusted politician.
But why would he stay away if the FDM is vying to become a viable party in politics?
Well,
and
if
he's
that's
the leader.
The case, why are the questions on Twitter last night? Well, where's the FDM? Where's Mark Bean? You feel what I'm saying? Like, they may still be around, and hopefully they are, because Bermuda needs that option. But what I'm saying, Mark Bean can be a part of it. But someone said something very interesting recently on social media, said that Bermuda needs another party. And I'm not speaking of Mark Bean and the FDM. This is why I'm saying maybe you step aside and let other people run with it. Because at the end of the day, you've had your time and people they're just not interested in your politics. That said, if you asked me, who would I take over Mark Bean and David Burt? We've had David Burt as premier. So I would probably say, you know what? What do we have to lose with Mark Bean? As far as a debate, I think they're both intelligent gentlemen. I do. I think that Mark Bean and David Burt both possess a level of intelligence that it can't be found just anywhere. But when we're talking about politics, I do think that politics, Jonathan Smith said it when he was on the show. You have to have ego, right? And it's a bit self-serving. At this point, one has to believe that they can give back to their country without being politically involved, without collecting a political salary, without pretty much jeopardizing your health to do it. So that's my thoughts on that. Let's go to some comments. We have quite a few, it looks like. Tyra Simmons says it was petty between Mr. Dunkley and the former premier. Premier.
And the premier.
Yeah, the premier. Sorry. You're not former yet, David. Elizabeth says, I would like to see more of it, to be honest. Yeah, I think the public deserves it. And like I said, if you listen to the House of Assembly and just listen to some of these people talk to themselves, that was probably more entertaining, and you probably would got more out of that than you would have listening to the House of Assembly. Because if you listen Friday, oh my goodness, bless you. Teresa says, I'd like a full out debate in the public. Twitter was short. Yeah, there's 280 characters, man. Twitter should open up for politicians, I'd say. Well, somebody probably ruined that. Tamara says CBD is cannabis, that word, which is one kind of that word, as is THC. As far as I remember, OBA did legalize CBD, aka medical marijuana, aka now called hemp, in 2016. I mean, just to be clear, seems to like we need a dictionary of terms for lawmakers, because words really do matter when making laws. Well, I listened to the House on Friday and I'm just like, is everything, is this, that? And this is why I say, either the level of politics is really dropped in Bermuda, or the people who are there need to make better decisions when researching and understanding what they're there to talk about. But I want to add, Carla, something the premier said yesterday in his press conference when asked about cannabis was his cabinet agreed on something, and if anybody in his cabinet disagrees, then they should resign. And I'm like, well, you're asking people who have no other source of income and probably don't possess the necessary intellect to get another source of income. You're asking them to give that pay up? Nah, they're going to go along with the flow, brother. Come on. Like, seriously. You're threatening them, but come on. That's a livelihood. Let's be honest. Charles H. Jeffers says, I just wish Mark had chimed in. This is a new age debate. And well, there you go. Mark Bean, if he's interested in being in politics, you definitely need to go where the voters are. So are you on Twitter, Mark Bean? That's where you need to be. I mean, at the end of the day.
He was at one point. I don't know if he still is.
Well, I think we can visit Media Maya and her article for when he was and if he still is. I mean, she done an excellent article just after Christmas regarding the politicians who showed up for the election and haven't been seen since. So I think Mark Bean probably falls in that space. Renee Charlene Simmons, I would love to see that debate, DB and MB. I think it would be classic. Another person asking, where is Mark Bean? If anybody knows Mark, you can please let him know. People are looking for him. You can have him on the show. We're open to every and anyone. If Mark Bean would like to come on this show, we're open to him. It's a different kettle of fish than the Royal Gazette, I'll tell you that. As many people have learned in the past. Tamara Richardson says, I've been trying for years. Every year reading the budget just takes me. Oh, yes, it's budget week, folks. But real quickly, look, we have to mention this. We have to mention this. So there was another thing that bothered me. Obviously, I'm easily bothered, folks. Another thing that bothered me greatly. And we have to touch on this because I speak about this very often on this show. And it would be probably wouldn't be good to ignore what we're about to discuss. Anybody see this on March list yesterday?
I'm banned, but there's always the mighty screenshot.
So folks.
Listen.
All right. Okay. Someone, I guess Marge List posted today calling a 71-year-old homeless gentleman got a brand new tent, courtesy of Uber Super Duber. As he set it up, he was beaming with delight. I know nothing about this gentleman or his situation. My concern is that Almost 700 people reacted to this post, liking, loving, and so on. Has the world gone entirely mud to the point that we think this is something to celebrate?
Okay, bro, listen. When I saw that screenshot yesterday, I was instantly pissed off, right? Maybe I think different. But and I don't know that person who posted. And like I said, being transparent, I was kicked out of the group. But this is an objective comment. Why on earth would people not see this as exploitation? This gentleman is homeless. He looks happy, but I feel it's exploitation because no one needed to know that he was homeless. And the fact that a 71-year-old man, now I know 71 doesn't mean archaic, but let's be for real, it's a senior citizen, and he's living outside in a tent, that speaks so largely to the social issue. And I was just like, it disgusted me. I was like, people's lauding that this gentleman at 71 is living in a tent. What am I missing?
But here's I spoke to a good friend and business owner recently, and I'm going to quote Craig Kennener. It's not a direct quote because I can't exactly remember word for word what he said, but it was leading up to the election. And this is where we have to put our personal feelings aside. Mr. Kennener said something that was very valuable. We do not need more charity. We need opportunities. And when I look at this picture, credit to anyone who believes in helping someone who's in need. But remember when I used to criticize those backpacks every summer and this and that? The idea should not be to give people a backpack or a tent every year or whatever. The idea should, if we're really interested in helping them beyond PR and marketing, which is what this stuff is, right? It's charity, as my friend said, being masqueraded, right? It's marketing and PR being masqueraded as charity, right? What we should be doing if we're interested in helping people is ensuring that next month this time, next year this time, they don't need a tent, they don't need a backpack, but that they're in a better living situation. Because if all you're doing is giving them something that keeps them in the situation that they're in, you are part of the problem. Because what you're getting out of it is PR and marketing, like you give back to the community and all this nonsense. And you see too many companies doing it now. It's become too acceptable for companies to, masquerade as marketing and PR, doing all this charity work. This right here.
That irritated me to the core.
While I understand the principle of helping someone, is not something that should be celebrated. This is something that should raise eyebrows, that we should be concerned about, and that we should collectively say our country is suffering from a huge problem. How can we fix it?
And the thing that really gold me, right? Let's just say if this gentleman, because you have some people that don't want to live in houses, right? If it was really about the charity, it would have said 71-year-old Colin is happy to receive his tent. It didn't have to say super duper duper or whatever the company was called. Like it tagged the business. I was just, and again, I'm not saying it was done maliciously or ill intent, but come on, people. Like people need to stop and think, because I just feel that's so self-serving. No, they're grinning.
But they are thinking, Carla. They're thinking, look, I know you got to do the news and we have to move on, but I want to go to the comments real fast and then I'll wrap it up, right? Teresa says, this is cringeworthy post and the company tag should have requested to remain anonymous because this is a no. Kathy Brumby says, let's be like San Fran and set up a tent city is what came to mind. Elizabeth says, you took the words right out of my mouth. But if you say something, it's, well, what are you doing to help? It's performative. Amanda Kelly goes on to say, teach them how to fish instead of giving them a fish. Sean Smith asked the question many of us ask: why would you take a picture of yourself doing this? Tamara Richardson says, new rule: when given from your heart, leave the camera at home. Simple. Tylant Clark says, either way, charities shouldn't be primary involvement for these people. Government should be the responsible ones and start a true public housing and true mental health programs somewhere our taxes should really go. And this is where I'm going to wrap it up. Charity has become marketing. You don't get a tax write-off here, but you bring your camera and take the free publicity. Last week, I said to Carla and my partners, I said, there was a company that we've had on this show before. And they were out front in the paper because they had given some money to some people. And I said, I want to go on the show and talk about this. But I did not want to throw that company under the bus. Last night, I put a post that diversity and inclusion confuses me. It's like, diversity and inclusion allows you to tick a few boxes so you can treat people poorly, right? And then when you get questioned, you pretty much say, well, hey, we have these people in place. We can't be that bad. My point is, charity has been too long. It's been used for too long to cover up bad behavior, bad company practices. And I'm sick and tired of seeing people, vulnerable people, used as PR and marketing tools for million and billion dollar companies. The media has to play a better role and stop giving this stuff to these companies. Obviously, this was social media. But the fact that near 700 people, 700, reacted to that post and very little found anything wrong with it tells me our society is fractured, it's broken, it's something really wrong. We have to go to our news break. Carla, over to you. The conversation will continue. Don't leave us. We'll be right back after her break.
Since lifting the curfew and extension of opening hours for bars and restaurants, the Bermuda Police Service has already had to issue 2 24-hour closure orders to liquor license establishments for failing to adhere to COVID-19 regulations as they relate to bars and nightclubs. Martin Weeks, the Assistant Commissioner of Police Operations, said, "It is not our intention nor our desire to be closing businesses during these already difficult times. However, the government has issued regulations that must be adhered to in order to prevent the spread of COVID-19. The Bermuda Police Service will continue to work with the owners and operators of bars, nightclubs, and restaurants to gain compliance with the stated guidelines. As a reminder, indoor-outdoor bars and nightclubs can remain open until midnight, providing table service only, with a maximum of 10 people at a bar. Bar service is not currently permitted. Masks must be worn when moving around in licensed premises, and physical distancing must be maintained." Do you know those days when you just can't be bothered to get out of bed? Well, Inconvenience Yourself Day is not one of them. So put on your happy face and go out there and be nice. We can all celebrate by simply opening a door for someone, giving up a seat to someone who may be in need on the bus, helping a child across the street, or stopping to ask if a tourist is lost and needs directions. Generally, making a small sacrifice. Turning to weather, the temperature in Bermuda is expected to reach a high of 68. Newark, New Jersey will see a high of 50, and London, UK, a high of 62. That's your Daily Hour news break.
All right. Thank you for that, Carla. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with Janice Outerbridge from Montessori, Somersfield Academy. We're going to be talking about the Montessori Education program, so don't go anywhere.
Good day, Medical House Doris speaking. Can I help you?
Medical House is Bermuda's leading one-stop shop for healthcare. Bermuda's top doctors, dentists, care homes, and the hospital choose Medical House for a wide range of products.
Anything that we ask them to do, they come through.
These same professional quality products are available to you for home healthcare.
If we can use them, we definitely do so.
Medical House is best known for its uniforms and footwear. It also has restaurant uniforms that stand up to even the toughest shifts. If you're on your feet all day, Medical House has comfortable and stylish shoes that are also durable and easy to clean. Everyone needs some help cleaning up, and Medical House has got it. Leading-edge janitorial, facility, and maintenance supplies are all here. Medical House is on Millreach Lane in Pembroke, where there's private parking right outside the door. Call or visit Medical House today.
The everyday use of spices goes back well over 6,000 years, evidenced by archaeological finds in Europe, including remains of spiced food. Since 1976, the Frontier Natural Foods Co-op has been bringing a wide range of exciting flavors to the table. The results are good news for the environment and more robust, fragrant, essential oils in these natural seasonings. We're featuring Frontier Natural Products, organic ground cloves, rubbed sage leaf, and poultry seasoning. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, welcome back to the big show. It's Carla Zool, Jamel Hartman, The Daily Hour, brought to you by Medical House One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends over at Channel 82, where you can also watch this and many other locally produced shows if you have One Communications cable. Carla, you bought the heat this morning, didn't you?
How? What'd I do?
I mean, talking about all this controversial stuff. You know they think you're controversial, but anyway.
I don't understand. I'm so innocent.
Yeah. Those people who say that.
But if I would have been in Marge's list, I would have got kicked out yesterday, because that would have annoyed me to no end. And you know I have a hard time holding my tongue. So except on this show where I'm innocent.
We have Mrs. Janice Outerbridge in the backstage. She's setting up. We can see her backstage setting up on the computer. So we're gonna give her about a minute to get ready. Got her headset to get ready. But I want to say this. I really want to, like, people hone in. I legit love waking up early, like waking up 5 o'clock, going for a run, coming on here, doing this show every morning. I really do. And I love and appreciate the people who continue to engage with us while we're doing this. Last week, when Sloan Johnson gave me the opportunity to speak at the Digital Leadership Conference, my goal was to show the young people that you can use social media to improve your community, that you can make a difference, that you can, you don't just have to go on there for likes and just to be in, like, you don't have to use it for everything that they say is wrong. And when we get up to do this show, I send Jackie and Carla, hey, discussion idea for tomorrow. We sometimes don't know, probably sometimes to the morning of, what we're going to discuss. But we have taken it upon, it's our responsibility almost. We've made it our responsibility to have conversations that will change the narrative to improve the community that we all love. And that's our goal. It's not to trash anyone. It's not to make people feel bad. It's literally just to improve the way we live. So I thank you all for continuing to support us. I'm going to use pick on Talent Clark, who's always in the audience, and he's been a guest. I like if I had my way, I would get in a debate with Talent every day.
I'll be on your side, Talent.
Of course she would. He just can't be on your tug of war team. But no, we have to have these conversations, folks, because the goal of this is so that we can improve the country and community that we love. So thank you. And without further ado, let's bring in our guest for the day, Mrs. Janice Outerbridge from Somersfield Academy. Welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, we are glad to have you. We were actually going to do something, have you on the phone, but technology has worked in our favor today. So we appreciate you coming on and joining our audience. But let's get right into the conversation. Somersfield Academy, inspiring socially conscious, independent thinkers. What makes the school so different from what's offered in the public and private schools throughout Bermuda?
So first of all, Somersfield Academy is the only school that offers the Montessori program at the younger years and the IB middle years program. And recently we added on our diploma program, which is the final 2 years of the IB program. So we're unique in that sense, in that Montessori, IB, makes us unique and different from the other schools on the island.
And what? Go ahead, Carla. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go, Carla. Go. I'll save mine.
So, good morning, Niece.
Good morning.
When I was growing up, I always thought that Montessori was like free range. It could be a misperception, that there's no structure. What do you think is the biggest misconception that people have regarding the Montessori style of learning?
I think it's exactly what you said. People think that Montessori is free reign, children do whatever they want, that there's no structure, when in fact, there's quite a lot of structure in the Montessori classrooms. The children have free choice, and that's where the difference comes in. They have a choice as to when they're going to do certain things, what they're going to work on throughout the day. So they have a choice, but there's a lot of structure in the classroom.
Mm.
Now, self-guided learning sounds as if students are allowed to explore, because I always see where it says Montessori students, independent thinkers, critical thinkers, right? So they discover at their pace. What are the advantages of this? And you talked about the structure, but can you go a little deeper on if it's free learning as such, where does that structure come into play?
So the curriculum, the Montessori has a very specific curriculum. It was based on Dr. Montessori's observations of children and what they need at certain periods in time. And so the curriculum is designed to meet the students' needs. We have lots of hands-on activities, so it's very concrete learning that the children are exposed to. The environment is key in a Montessori environment so that the teachers have to know what the students are interested in at that time, and so make sure that they have those materials available for those students to explore their learning and have that opportunity and the time to do that. We do understand that, traditional schools and other settings, we assume that, in the other settings, it is assumed that students all want to learn the same thing at the same time, that everyone learns at the same pace, when we actually know that that is not the case. So in a Montessori environment, students are able to work at their pace. They're able to work on things that they're interested in. And as you would know, if someone is interested in learning something, they're going to put their all into it. So in Montessori, the children are directing their learning. They're saying, this is what I'm interested in. The teachers are providing those opportunities for their students, and the children are excited to learn.
So, curiosity question. As a former teacher doing lesson plans, it's like every teacher's nightmare with that structure in place and with students learning at different paces. How does a teacher plan for that classroom if Jamal's over there and I'm over there? How does that all come together?
So with the individualized program, students are getting individualized attention. So they're getting lessons based on what they need at that particular time. The teachers are specifically trained to work with a range of children. So in Montessori, our classes are designed in mixed age groups. So we have 3 to 6 year olds in one class and 6 to 9 year olds in another class. And the teachers are trained to be able to meet the needs of those students at those various ages.
Which leads perfectly to my next question, because if me as a traditional classroom teacher, and I'm interested in teaching in Montessori, do I have to take additional training, or will I be able to train on the job? And I say additional, like do courses, or could I train on the job?
So there is specific training that you must do because teachers need to, Montessori teachers, we're actually not called teachers, we're actually called guides, because we're actually guiding the children. It's not the teacher standing in the front of the class and saying, this is what you're going to learn at this particular time. And the guides need to be taught about the Montessori philosophy, what we believe about children, how children learn, and then how specifically to give the individual lessons. And so in Montessori, there are specific materials that have been designed for the classrooms. Teachers need to know how to give those lessons so that they are effective.
Indeed. I want to go. We have a comment. Tamara Richardson says, so grateful my children had the benefit of a Somersfield Montessori education, if only it was available to all. And that leads into my question. There are so many students who could possibly benefit from Montessori style of learning. All things honest and just being, what's that word? people say
Transparent.
transparent. Yeah, another big word. I just can't more than 4 letters. Transparent. Janice is my stepmother, so just put that out there before people think I'm easing someone up on the show. They have this tendency to do that. But I was not necessarily a traditional student, right? I probably would have benefited from the kind of education that Montessori is having, but that means one would have to pay. Other options for like scholarships and different things that Montessori is able to offer to the kind of children that would benefit from the learning that's offered in the school?
So Somersfield itself has a bursary program that families can sign up for. Obviously, we are still a young school, so we're just celebrating our 30th year this year. So we don't have, the alumni and all of the funding as other schools would have. So we're building that up. But right now, we do have a bursary program that students can apply for. Our program with the mixed age group classrooms, we do look to have a community that reflects the country that we live in. And so we try our best to make sure that we have the diversity in the classroom. Several years ago, we added our 3-year-old full day program because we wanted to encourage more Bermudans to join the program. Previously, it was only a half day. But acknowledging that we wanted to have more locals involved in it, we extended it so that we have a full day program now where children can come and be in the classroom in the morning and then they go into a sample program in the afternoon. So again, we have increased our Bermudan populations in the classroom, which has been great.
Alrighty. Yeah,
So Niece, as my 11-year-old has learning, he has dyslexia. How does Montessori deal with students or how do guides help students who have learning difficulties, or is it because it's learning at their own pace? Does it lessen the impact of a disability? If I'm asking, you see what I'm trying to ask you?
So
I don't know if I'm asking it clearly.
Yeah, it depends on what the situation is. Montessori is great. My child is hearing impaired, and I would have loved for her to have been in this environment from the beginning because she wouldn't have to sit and rely solely on her hearing to get the information that she needed. It's very individualized. It's one-on-one with the teacher giving you lessons, and it's very hands-on and tactile. So she would have been able to use the materials to help aid in her learning. We do have students that have disabilities here. And again, it is a wonderful environment for students with differences to be in Montessori. A lot of our materials are multisensory, so that helps a lot as well. Mm-hmm. And our teachers are trained on dyslexia and how to support students in the classroom with dyslexia and other different learning challenges.
Mark Arthur C. Phillips asks, how does Montessori use technology in the classroom?
So we don't use a lot of technology in our 3 to 6 program. We introduce that later. We want students to have that hands-on experience with the materials, have that concrete experience, so that later they can understand those abstract things. But initially in our 3 to 6 program, we don't use much technology at all. It's all hands-on concrete experiences.
How does, and I know you've spoken about one-on-one, what is the ratio teacher to student per class?
So we have 24 students with 2 teachers in a classroom. And again, it's mixed age group. The teacher is not the focus in the classroom. So we can have some of our older students assisting some of the younger students. So it takes some of the pressure off us. And it's a community of learners.
Got you. So I know you said you wanted the school to reflect Bermuda makeup, and I know some of the challenges people have had is they don't see that it does right now. What are some of the things as far as recruitment that Montessori Somersfield is doing to recruit a more balanced look in terms of the student population?
This year it's been really difficult with COVID, but we do have our open houses that we do. We try to get out there that Montessori itself has prescribed that our year groups are from 3 to 6 year olds. And so I know a lot of people think that we start at 4 year olds like the other schools do, but we actually start at 3 year old because that is what the program prescribes. But we do our best to get out there with our social media, with putting things out in the, like I said, our open houses and anything else that we can do to kind of attract them. Word of mouth is a big one. We do have lots of families in the international business who also, encourage their members to come in and have a look at Montessori. Montessori is also universal. Montessori is, there are over like 20,000 schools worldwide. They're in every continent, in the 6 continents. And so it is actually universal. So whatever Montessori you go to, an authentic Montessori school, you would see the same materials and it's the same philosophy. And so it's transferable for families that want to move from one location or have to relocate to another area.
I've come across a lot of notables. Sean P, what's his name? Puff Diddy or P Diddy these days? Combs. He's a Montessori. P Diddy, yeah, Diddy, whatever. He's a alum. Bill Gates, and you just go down a list of so many people. And one of the things a lot of people will say about those individuals, like the Zuckerbergs and these people, they would say, "Oh well, they don't have a college degree." And I'm like, well, go back a step and see where they had been educated previously. And I think it does say a lot about the program. As you can see in the comments, people are very happy with the education that their children received. That said, a lot has been discussed in the public schools lately in Bermuda, and they're trying to transition away from the current setup, which I believe is primary, middle, and senior. At any point, do you think that, do you have discussions with government on how you guys can work together? Because I think Tamara Richardson may have mentioned something in the comments. See it as an opportunity for government to perhaps work with Somersfield and share or expand their philosophies. Is there something that can be done? Because obviously a lot of people are big fans of this, right? Do you think it's something that some partnerships can get going where it can be opened up and expanded? Or do you guys just operate individually on your own?
Nope. So just like this is Montessori Education Week, we have in the past opened our doors up to traditional teachers to come in and to see what we do. Initially, we offered it as a free PD hours, and so we got the numbers coming in, but people were really amazed at what they saw once they got here. But I've been in talks with government personnel. I've met with them. I've given them tours of a school, and we are open to having the conversation with the government workers and just to see, what we can do. There's lots of, like I said, there's lots of evidence that what we've been doing this for over 100 years, and we've proven ourselves that, it's a great program, and we are producing lots of great people and great leaders. And so we are open to having those conversations. I'm working with, there's a new program coming up, Bermuda Institute of Educators, something to that effect, where we're trying to come together so we can share and, bring the community a bit more together.
You mentioned it's Montessori Week. What happens in this week? What's the goal of it?
So it's pretty much about education. So educating our parents, educating the community, even educating our students. So our little ones from 3 years old know you're in a Montessori school, and what does that mean? The materials and who designed the materials and the philosophy behind it. So it's more about educating. So in years past, we've been limited because of COVID this year, but traditionally we'll be on the radios, we will be having articles in the paper, we will be inviting people into the school. We've invited grandparents to come in and work with the students. We've invited parents in, we have speakers in. And so we've been limited. Last year, we were looking to do a musical, the Montessori musical. Unfortunately, that didn't happen as well. So we have all of these great ideas that we would like to share with the public, but we've been limited this year. So this year, our focus has just been on educating our students, supporting our teachers, further professional development for them.
All right. Carla, you had a question?
I was, but I realized that you guys are expanded because I was going to, like you mentioned about Diddy and Bill Gates, et cetera, people that don't have college education. So my question was, once a student is done with Montessori, assuming at 18, are they eligible? I mean, do they go on to university?
I think most of them. I think most of them do. For us, our program finishes at 9, unfortunately, but then it goes into the IB, which is a great another form of education that really links well with the Montessori as far as being inquiry based and so forth. So that's great. But I think in the US, most students will still continue to go. And I think the boys that went to Google, they went on and they actually met at university and built their partnership from there.
We have another question from the audience. Mark Phillips says, the world is ever changing. How do you ensure that your students are able to ensure they are prepared for life in the 21st century?
So we see that we start that in our 3-year-olds. We look to give them the skills that they need to be confident. Like I said, they're working in a community of students at different ages, so they have that interpersonal piece to be able to work with others. That we have the ability for conflict resolution. They're in an environment where they're encouraged to think and for critical thinking. And so we think we give them all the skills. It's just the technology piece, which they will get in the next years. We don't do that in 3 to 6, but in our 6 to 9 program, we introduce them to technology. They're involved in innovations and things like that. So I think we do a good job of setting the foundation for what's needed in this 21st century.
Yeah, I just want to add clarity, though, because I don't want people thinking that I was saying that people don't go on to college. Definitely Bill Gates did go on to college, as did P. Diddy. What they did was they didn't finish college. So I don't want, credibility is important in what we do. What would you like to leave people with? Like, one of the things that, is a big conversation is we shouldn't have to send our children to private school to get a good education. And obviously you'll always be dealing with that. How do you respond to those, discussions and challenges within the community?
It's a hard one. I think even students that come to private school more so are kind of looked at differently because a parent sacrificed to send their children to school. And so sometimes they're not afforded the same opportunities as students in government systems, which I think is unfortunate. But I think, we need to continue the conversations with the educators in the traditional setting. And so that we can kind of blend and provide some of the students of basic things that we think should be happening in the government schools. And so we can't dictate that, but we can have the conversations and see what they can take. Now, they can't automatically start doing Montessori in the schools because there's a specialized training of how you do it. We have lots of Montessori didn't trademark her name. So we have lots of schools who are saying we're doing the Montessori style of learning. There's a specific training that needs to happen. There's a specific understanding of child development and our philosophy that needs to happen before they're calling themselves a Montessori school. But there are certain things that can happen within the traditional sense that can give the students some of the things that they need. It is unfortunate that we're not unfortunate that we're in a private school on the island that offers Montessori. But in the US, there are lots of public Montessori schools popping up as well.
Some comments. I would definitely agree with this one. Excellent job, big sister. You make me want to go back to school in a Montessori environment. Probably would have graduated sooner. I tend to agree, honestly. I speak to parents of students that go there, and obviously I have my own relatives involved there, and I just wish, I wish I had the opportunity to attend a Montessori-like environment. Me, personally, I went to technical schools. So that was kind of like, for me, a different experience from what I was used to, being able to use my hands and do stuff. It made learning fun for me. So having these kinds of things available is just, it's phenomenal.
I think it's really hard to understand Montessori without seeing it. And so what I do encourage a lot of people to do, come and have a look and see, again, like Carla was talking, there's this misconception that children do whatever they want. Well, yes, they do whatever they want. They have the freedom to make choice, but they still have to do, we call it work. They still have their work to do. So whether they choose to do their math in the morning or in the afternoon, that's their choice. So they have that ability to make that choice. They have the freedom to use anything in the environment as long as they use it respectfully.
Let's go to a few more comments. We have to run. Michelle to Bermuda says, I would have not chosen any other form of education for my son. He thrived in that environment. And like Timmy, he went through from 2 years old to 15. Wow. I don't think any school would have kept me longer than they could have. Tamara Richardson says the only downside to Montessori is trying to parent a child who knows way more than you do about everything and can debate you on it.
That's one of the things about, and that's one of the things about Montessori children. They are given a lot. The curriculum itself is so advanced, starting from a young age. And then the children have that confidence and that boldness to ask questions, to speak up. Those are the type of people that we want. And it starts from a young age. So a lot of times when we go out, people say, oh, you can always tell a Montessori child, because they just have that different confidence. Like, they are very self-confident. They know what they know. They're not afraid to ask questions. They're not afraid to, make mistakes and to learn from them.
Well, I was called rude when I would ask questions. I was called,
You was rude.
Well,
don't be nice to him, Nisi.
A couple more comments. Donna Reyna says, I'm glad I sent my son there. The school makes them very independent thinkers and they teach them to present themselves very well from a young age. Very impressed with the school. He learned about all history, specifically Black history, a multicultural and race school. And Nicole Brockington, to end it out, says, I agree. I encourage anyone to just go and take a tour of the school. I was one who had that common misconception, but ended up sending both my kids there. So Esther, I'll try to agree with Tamara. The Montessori trained child have a great amount of confidence. Is there anything before we let you go that you just want to say to the audience regarding the Montessori and Somersfield Academy in particular?
Again, our doors are open. Just come and have a look. See for yourself. Don't go by what other people are saying. Come and look. We know Montessori knew way back when what children needed at different stages in their development. She created a program that meets those needs. Children are not children. We believe that all children, are valuable. They all have something to. They're all growing, and we are just guides to help in their growth. And so we create environments that supports the students. Like I said, they're learning at their own pace. It's not that everyone is learning at the same time. It's not the teacher dictating what they want to learn. Students are choosing what they want to learn. We know that they have certain elements that they need to have, and we create it so that it's fun for them. So learning is fun. It's exciting. It's not a drag to go to school. They are excited to come to school every day. And that's what we want, people who are excited, who will be lifelong learners.
It's like a job, folks. Like I said, we didn't hate Mondays. We hated our jobs. We want students the same way, not to hate school. They want them to love it. So Montessori on its way to doing that. Mrs. Janice Outerbridge, thank you again for coming on and speaking to us about Somersfield and Montessori in particular. And the door is always open should you want or need to come back.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great one.
Have a good day.
Wonderful conversation there. Really, I've said it before that I've been a fan of Montessori because I believe that I thought I was a student that would benefit from that kind, even though you all think I was just playing rude. At least when I got to technical school and college, they thought a bit better than me than you all, What?
Yeah, I was never a fan of it, but honestly, with the way that my youngest is, I think he would benefit. So I've actually wrote a note to Google to see if there are any nearby to see if we can get a scholarship or something.
For sure. We have to take a break. Going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. If you've watched this show before, you know what time it is. If this is your first time, stick with us. You don't want to miss the Daily Play. Today, you're going to be learning and you're going to be helping Carla guess the answer to the lyrics of this song. And it's a goodie, folks. It's a goodie. It's going to tell you just how I feel about you today and every day.
Bermuda, do you know the difference between internet and Wi-Fi? Don't worry. Neither did I. Let me break it down to you. Internet is delivered to your modem, which then has to push the Wi-Fi signal into the rest of your home. Do you find that the further you're away from your modem, the weaker your Wi-Fi signal gets? That's because Bermuda's homes are built hurricane tough. It's really difficult for that Wi-Fi signal to reach every room. But you're in luck. Our One Home Wi-Fi solution guarantees Wi-Fi coverage in and around your home with the help of our Eero devices. Plug in the Eero around your home and it will create a mesh Wi-Fi network in every room. Check us out at One Today to sign up and make sure you can stream, work, and play from every corner of your home.
All right, welcome back to the big show. She's Carla Zul. I'm Jamal Hartman. It is the Daily Hour. Thanks again to Medical Owls, One Communications, and Lindo's. It's daily playtime. Folks, help Carla guess the lyrics to this song. It's so easy, and it's just how I feel about every last one of you today. Quote, no summer's high, no warm July, no harvest moon to light one tender August night. End quote.
Ain't no mountain high enough?
No. I might even sing it for you. That's how much I love.
No, I want to sing. I want to sing. So say the lyrics again.
All right. Help her out, folks. Quote, no summer's high.
Didn't I tell him not to sing?
No warm July. No
it's a Boys to Man song.
Hardly.
No. Oh, I just called to say I love you.
I think your friend David beat you to it. He says, I just called to say I love you, Stevie Wonder. Yes.
And I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
What was that? Well, it looks like a lot of people got it. Everyone got it. Stevie Wonder, I just called to say I love you. That is the song of the day, folks.
You are softening him up. He never uses feelings. So that's why I didn't think that it was a love and cushy song like that.
It was
DMX, yes. Stevie Wonder, no.
Family in the show today. But no, I say that, make sure, you call somebody that you love and just hit them up today. I apparently don't like to call people, but call somebody today. Let them know I love you. Go ahead. Carla calls me every day, folks.
Every day.
Yeah, every day.
But the letters are different. Okay.
For those listening on the radio, Carla's just laughing at herself. No one's in the conversation with her. Somebody's looking for a fish sandwich. We'll have to talk to Mr. Marshall about that. But that was a Stevie Wonder song. Carla, do you have any inspiration for us that doesn't involve singing?
If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. Bruce Lee.
That I love that. Don't overthink. Just get it done. So I love that one. If you really liked and enjoyed today's conversation, from the early discussion to the guest important conversation about Montessori, make sure you like and give us a thumbs up. Make sure you share this episode. I just want to touch on the first part of the show with the premier and former premier, David Byrd and Michael Dunkley. Honestly, folks, with the world we're living in, it was nothing but pure entertainment to me. But while it was entertaining, there are some serious conversations that need to be had as far as what they are doing in these positions to benefit the people of Bermuda. So always hold your politicians accountable. And the fact that it's happening in Twitter where so many young voters are, I appreciate that. And so Mark Bean, if you're listening or someone knows Mark, let him know that young people are looking for him on Twitter, especially if he intends to stay involved in politics. You have to go where the people you need are. As far as the tent, people, we need to do better. Bermuda needs to do better. Any final words, Carla?
I just called.
No, seriously. Yeah.
Montessori, seriously, I'm really gonna look, because I think that the tactile part is what really appeals to me. And so hopefully it can be implemented somewhere in the public system, because not everybody can afford, private fees. But I think that the opportunity for learning is priceless. So
yeah, I agree with you, Carla. I think that's probably my only, issue is I wish it was available to people who may not be able to afford the Montessori education at Somersfield. But that said, I really enjoyed the conversation. It was informative, and hopefully it answered a lot of questions that people may have. Carla, tomorrow we have Dr. Kendra Lee Pearman, so should be another interesting conversation as far as education goes. Ready for that one?
Yep.
All right. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, and Linders, for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She is Carla. I just called to say I love you, Zul, and I am Jamel Hartman. Give him a song to take it away, Carla.
And I mean it from the bottom of my heart.
Folks, let me know how your day went tomorrow, because if it went poorly, she will never sing again. Have a great one. We're out.